Here comes Milo, big run out of 4. He's going to be there.
Tristan Martin's there. Cannot count out to 37.
Oh!
No, gets burned!
Cabot, where did he come from? Here comes
Zwack.
Zwack.
A punch from the 33.
It's a drag race.
The Magic Man wins it Auto Club.
I played a couple of simulators and this was like very responsive, especially the hydraulics and stuff, the motion and stuff was really on point.
Make you feel like you're really driving, it feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
After an exciting week 1 from Auto Club, Richard Hurst found his way to victory lane with a time-shortened race. In a still very young season, we still have plenty of time to discover another first-time winner with 7 weeks remaining. But tonight, live from the virtual Talladega Superspeedway, presented by Thrustmaster, Buck Kicker, and Carpe Diem Creations, it's Vrx World Cup. Welcome into V-Speed. I'm your host, Bradley Cooper, and again, joined alongside the iRacing and esports commentator, Justin Prince.
Yes, indeed. We get all set to go here from Talladega tonight. Where, keep in mind, coming into this week, we've seen a number of these drivers participating in events like the Podium 500 this week at iRacing's virtual Daytona International Speedway. So most of these competitors tonight should be rather acclimated to what we have in store tonight. In the realm of super speedway racing, Daytona always comes to mind. But what about its much faster and longer sister track? This southern gem located in Alabama has to be host to a number of memorial and memorable events throughout NASCAR, including Bill Elliott's speed record of 212.8 miles per hour back in 1987 qualifying. This fast 2.66 mile oval has all the potential energy to bring 3 or even 4 wide pack racing if drivers are daring enough to push those boundaries here tonight, Bradley.
Yeah, 2.66 miles, 33-degree banking in the turn, 16 degrees on the front stretch, and this track plenty wide enough for us to see 3 wide, maybe even 4 wide coming to the finish. But I foresee these guys getting a better run. We saw a little bit of that at Auto Club, but this place much more forgiving with the runs when it comes to getting around somebody.
And in turn, expect a lot of the drivers to try and utilize some tandem drafting to get up to the front here tonight, and many more to utilize the side draft. Keep in mind, with your race analysis, 80 laps on the docket, that's 212 miles tonight. Pit road speed limit, that's about 55 miles an hour. Drivers have been instructed all throughout practice to make sure they have that dialed in tonight. There are 3 tire sets available in the pits, but don't expect that to be a major factor. If anything, 2 of the major factors: the 2 green-white-checkered attempts, and even more so, the 80% fuel limit that's in the cars tonight. That could play a factor on the pit strategy we see throughout tonight's festivities.
Yeah, and also we were talking pre-race with some of these drivers about the rules here at Talladega, a unique rule with the passing under the double yellow line. It's actually a single yellow line, but they call it the double yellow. And for that, drivers will have to be above that line when they complete a pass. I believe all 4 tires going below that line will get you a penalty. And if you do it coming to the finish, you'll actually receive an EOL at the finish and end up last of the cars on the lead lap. So you have to be careful, plan your passes accordingly as we get set here to get ready to go.
With that being said, drivers now making their way towards the grid. Let's take a look at the standings real quick. Remember, Hurst amongst those who are able to have a strong start of the season, already with the win to start off the campaign. Hodges, Wagner, the top 3. Cox is tied with Ellis in standings. Rhodes and Sox in standings. Then it's about a single point back for each of the drivers onward, with Kelly and so forth onward in the standings. Expect that to obviously change as the season progresses, with plenty of races to go. Now, with qualifying already complete and drivers making their way towards the starting grid, the Carpe Diem Pole Award tonight is presented to the fastest driver and qualified for each event, with prizes donated for this season, including custom glassware and keychains. I'd like to thank Carpe Diem for its support this season in presenting the drivers a variety of personalized items in the Vrx World Cup. If it's a moment with a loved one or a memory captured throughout life, find the perfect custom item to match it from Carpe Diem Creations. Tonight, that pole award going to Bill Daniels. He was the only driver to break into the 51-second bracket, and he did so by about a few 100ths. Be able to secure the pole here for our first super speedway race this season here in 2024. We'll see how the drivers in turn fare out as they get set to fan out here tonight. Your starting grid looks like this. It's Daniels alongside Kenny Thin. Those speeds in turn differentiated by about half a second nearly. The second row tonight features the 15 of Jeffrey Hunter. It's Dustin Buck who will start from pit road. However, tonight he did not make the starting grid. Row 3 features Logan Rhodes, who put a lot of effort in final practice in the tandem drafts, and Brian Henning starts alongside in the red machine. In row 4, Don Milkowitz starts off in 7th. 3/1000ths of a second was the difference just about between him and John Hudson. His 3 machine starts in the top 8. And rounding out your top 10 tonight, Paul McDonald alongside Teresa Spiker.
Row number 6 belongs to Richard Hurst with Todd Mace in 12th position. 13th spot, Shane Gunner with Logan Watering. Shout out to him in chat there. Let's go Honda. Go Team Honda. We've got 15th position, James Wagner. And Stephen Aguirre in 16th. Heard Stephen is not feeling well. Has a fever of 102 tonight. If you can believe that, Justin. That's going to be a tough race for him. David Collins is going to start in 17th position. Wade Palmer in 18th. And that top 20 is Chris Phillips with Jared Epker.
21st this evening, going the way to Edward Feinlord. He'll start alongside Joseph Figioni III. Then the next spots, Koski starting alongside Casey Ellis, the 35 car. Also back towards the rear is Jeff Scott and Greg Pillar, who will start 25th and 26th. Greg Spiker is a long way to make it to the front from 27 alongside Mike Cheevers. Then rounding out your top 3 starting positions, Daryl Aronson alongside Benjamin Richards in the 56. However, Richards has an EOL penalty. He'll drop to the rear.
Yeah, there's a couple of drivers with penalties here tonight. Ricky Evans going to start in 31st. Jimmy Socks in 32nd. 33rd, Michael Howerton. Christopher Hodges, last week, second place there. Dominic Carr, he's going to start at the tail end of this field almost. And then William Britton and PJ Cox will round out your 36-car field here tonight.
As mentioned, a couple drivers do have penalties coming in. The 56 we already mentioned, and Richards to the back of the field this evening. There's also a penalty for car 47. That driver's car number has a no pace penalty for tonight. So in turn, these drivers getting all set to go. Your keys to win this one, Bradley.
Stay in the pack and survive to the last 10. That's really what this track's been about. Daytona, kind of similar to that. You have to survive to finish, and to finish first, you have to be there. I think these guys know that, and hopefully we can see some great pack racing, maybe some green flag pit stops.
So Bill Daniels with his first pole of the season. He's in control as they get ready for the green flag for the first time from Dega. We're underway for round number 2 of the Vrx World Cup from Talladega. Clean start for the entire field here. 2 drivers start for the pit lane, everybody else in the main pack. But it's the outside line that gets the first lap.
818 there, putting it up. Well, you know what? Maybe trading pains have broken on me again here tonight. I'm not entirely sure, because we had some problems there earlier. 818 of Kevin Mulcahy did lead that lap, so I got that correct this time around. But outside line, same thing when we watched Podium 500. It seemed like the outside was just much faster, and I know that's a different style car, but still some similarities there with the side draft.
Especially with the factor of if you get really close to each other, that side draft force really pulls you back when it comes to, especially if you're in the middle of the racetrack. Hence why in some of those preliminary races for the 500 this year with the next-gen car, drivers prefer to run either the wall or the bottom. That seems to be the same tempo here, albeit nobody wants to be able to force it 3 wide, and better yet, like Daytona, the top line seems to be the stronger line to start off.
You get a little bit of a push there. It's resurging on the inside, but I think by the time the 28 car gets going, that top line might drop down and break that run. They've got 4-car advantage coming down the backstretch here in the 33, the last one of Paul McDonald. He could still drop down here, but now the 21's starting to resurge again, and he's got the 15 of Jeffrey Hunter. So remember, Richard Hurst, he can go back-to-back here, and he's already started up towards the front.
And already some 3 wide. That's Aguilar shuffling things out. James Wagoner going all the way to the top of the racetrack. And the question is, was that by choice, or was that more so by force? On the double check, Wagoner went up there by choice and is trying to get a 3rd line going already on lap 4 with Jeff Scott.
Well, so much for surviving. Some of these guys a little antsy to get up front here, and I know that picking laps away is one thing, but trying to get to the front is a complete different. You see the 30 car, he still hasn't had any takers and has actually broke the momentum of that middle line. So Steven actually losing about 2 seconds to that middle groove. I don't know if he'll be able to recover right away. He's going to have to drop in behind the 10 of Fagione if he wants any chance. There he goes to stick with the draft there.
that almost gets exactly to the point I was making before, Bradley, in terms of the side draft effect, why so many drivers, if anything, say, keep it calm and then figure out a way to get the run. If you are so even-footed when it comes to that side draft or when you're alongside, it's like hitting the brake pedal down the middle of a straightaway.
Yeah, it's a big parachute, and these cars so reliant on draft. They had a horsepower drop when this car come out, and it kind of hindered the momentum. So now you're pretty much relying on the guys around you if you want to maintain a position. If somebody gets out of line or steps out and you lose that draft for even just a quarter of a second, that could be a couple miles per hour at the end of the straightaway.
That top line still the preferred line for the most part. Okay, he's still leading the way with Hennings helping. See a little bit of dodginess though, because of 3 wide. Teresa Spiker now forced up the middle. No one around to help her though. The rest of the drivers sort themselves out on the top and the bottom.
You see Hurst down there by himself now. He has a 7 car of Logan Rhodes that will catch up to the back of him, but the 28 makes a wise move. He saw how that outside was faster, and the 15 of Hunter followed him right up there. So now they've locked themselves in pretty much here to the top 5 for the time being, because nobody else is really contesting this, what I would call the middle, but really started as the outside.
And in turn, keep in mind, if you end up running, say, up to the very top of the wall, hence why a lot of drivers are starting to peek about maybe blocking that run off. You can't get a side draft on that middle line, or rather the very top line, because, well, you can't go higher than the wall, right? Unless you really try and become a wall rider and try and ride the catch fence like it's the movie in Herbie from 2006. But that's very hard to do on iRacing, obviously.
It worked for Chastain, did it not?
They banned that rule, though, and he technically rode the wall, not the fence.
True. Yeah, I wouldn't take chances of being much higher than what these guys are doing right now. And with the side force of the car, the wall actually prevents some of that side force because you're kind of riding and pushing them there. And in real life, those guys get up next to that wall. It actually creates a vacuum next to the cars, so they're able to get a better run. You can see actually the 8 is getting a tremendous run without a push at all. They worked their way up to about the 5th spot here, and I haven't really seen the 11 glued to his bumper at all.
Yeah, if anything, no one's really daring to become tandem drafters per se in terms of physical bumps. It's not that they're not drafting though, keep in mind. There's a lot of arrow pushing for the most part. There's a little bump. In fact, now because of some of the checkups, most seem to be preferring to use a bit of that aerodynamic off the front nose to be the pusher more than the actual physical push.
We're coming across for lap number 9, cleaning green since the beginning. We have 3 wide there for a moment. Now starting to double back up here like it was at the start. And it's weird because the bottom line is completely non-existent now. Everyone's running middle or top.
And it's still being led well by that 8-1 machine. Again, that's in reference to one of the sponsors of the series, of course, Thrustmaster, and really the branding line you can get. Very much so in sync with the sponsor, wouldn't you say?
Yes. Yeah, Mulcahy showing his colors out there, and you got Butt Kicker right behind it, so Vrx cars all over the place. These guys very brand proud to have the sponsors they have here over at Vrx, and I don't know about you, Justin, but I was excited for this one this week. Oh man, we got a car dropping down to the bottom. That was Hurst, and I think he got it moved. I don't think he voluntarily did that.
Aguilar losing a lot of time as well from the top 5 because of that. He lost all his help, and that checkup made it all so much worse.
Falls all the way back to 20th position, and he was in 5th when that began. So 15, 16 spots, he's working his way back now. I know he's not feeling well, but he didn't look it there when he was making that run on the outside.
He's been slowly but surely trying to dictate tempo, and now things for the most part again calming back down as a result of that. Keep in mind that the field is starting to splinter a bit. Well, I was going to say splintered, it just healed itself, that splinter. Michael Howerton just closed up 21st on back into the heart of the pack after having to reel back 2+ seconds.
It's amazing how these groups will do that. They'll self-heal. It's almost like some kind of, I don't know, scientific experiment that you're watching happen before your eyes, where these guys will move out of line and the car will quickly take its place, and then you'll see that car that falls back work its way to the front. It's kind of like some kind of species that we don't even know of, and it's all happens simultaneously in unison through poetry, the drafting that you have to do here.
You know, the funny thing is, some people have joked that, trouble!
Track there. They're collecting it.
That was Howerton and company. A lot of checks over the radio from there, but nobody spun it around. We stay green. That was from Logan Rhodes getting a bad bump, and in turn getting sent down to the one, and everybody else was able to react in time.
I think I saw watering off track a little bit there as well. I don't know exactly if it was Rhodes or watering that caused the tire smoke, but somebody got moved. Now they're pretty wide, but I think they've collected it back up. Seems like every time the bumpers get connected on these cars so far, they've been wiggling out of place, and of all the cars that we race here on the service, you would think this would be the one that they could bump draft pretty securely.
You say that, but with the next-gen car, you can have a 3-car tandem and have no problems. In fact, people yell at you if it's not 3 cars. But right now, you're talking about with the Gen 6 car, even 1 car bumping you, if it's too hard, could be a big time issue. Better yet, you try bumping somebody out of the corner, let's say, right about here. That could be enough to send somebody to the apron tonight.
Yeah, and I think also here with this car, and I don't know if it's still the case, but some of the testing I was doing, I don't get on the sim too often anymore. This car seemed like you had to drag the brakes as the leader if you wanted to get connected and actually push each other. So I don't know if that's still the case here, and these guys have a little bit easier time staying out. Maybe they cut a bigger hole with that back spoiler.
Well, that's a good point, because it really depends. As the leader, in theory, you're burning a lot more gas, obviously. You have to go full throttle, basically, compared to everyone else who's able to have that ability to go even up to half throttle, depending on the speed of the pack. But as the leader, you also have to consider, if you keep it full throttle, let's say it's side by side behind you and you're single file as the leader at the bottom of the racetrack. One of the things I've had to do too, next gen and with Gen 6, is drag the brake just to box somebody in so they can't change lanes and then force them to work with me later on. So that kind of leads to that viewpoint of you need to drag the brake if you want someone fully on your bumper and force them to push you.
I see the paint on the front of Brian Henning's car is worn off, so they've definitely been making some contact here. And a car in the grass there, I believe that's the 28 car. It is. Bill Daniels sliding through. No yellow. He cut it for free.
And that is bad luck for Daniels after a big checkup. We stay green. Veggioni ended up making contact here on the front straightaway. Here's a look. And the 7 again to the vicinity.
Check up there a little bit, I think, that got the 11 into the back of the 28, sent him sideways across the hood. I couldn't see the car number on that one, but unfortunately it's a single car spin off the surface of the racing, and iRacing will not drop a caution if that car leaves below that double yellow. So we're going to stay green on lap 15, come back around here. Kevin Mulcahy has led every single lap since this race has begun, and no one has challenged him on either side.
No one's even been able to get alongside him, despite the best efforts a couple times. And keep in mind, the pack has splintered apart a little bit as a result of some of those checkups, as to be expected there. Now the top 18 in the group. Epker was the one with the previous contact. You know who's trying to lead that bottom? You see it right there. It's Michael Howerton, the Area 51 driver. Amongst those who has already had to come from the very back. 33rd was the starting spot, mind you. Had to close up the gap to be able to get in the lead pack. And he's brought William Britton and a couple others with him.
Name William Britton, you know, goes back to the qualifiers and how well he did there. Had a good race at Auto Club, several different instances of a good race, but it didn't result exactly the way he had planned. Here tonight, look at the rebound from that and show why he deserves to be here, why he qualified for the Vrx World Cup. But you see already that the inside line falls back 7-8 cars. They're back to 8th, 9th position.
They just don't seem to have the numbers compared to what the middle line's been able to do because of the, really when you think about it, the middle line's doing the best of both worlds. Getting the runs off the corners on the straightaway, but also not necessarily going all the way to the point where they're at the top of the racetrack to where they're losing ground at the corners. If anything, they're breaking even in the corners.
I'm sure practice was planned. This was all premeditated. It has to be because these guys have not left the middle groove and they've stuck with each other. Brand awareness here with the Thrustmaster butt kicker cars. If there was a name I'd want behind me right now, I want a butt kicker car pushing me.
I mean, they could feel a lot with the help of that. I know you're making the pun, but
yeah, I'm trying.
But you can see the pushes right there, too. It's very critical to be able to feel these bumps, too, because all it takes is one off-center bump, and it's chaos.
Organized chaos coming around for lap 19. Okay, he's going to get another one. The 52 of Howerton has not resurged. They went pretty stagnant here about the 9th position, and they've lost all the help. There's only 4 cars in this group. They want to get it going. They're going to need more volunteers. If they want to try it again, I think the 8 car, before that little wiggle, had the best run on the outside. Maybe they can try working to the tail end of this pack and try it on the outside. You see another car leaves the group and moves up.
Well, if anything, Wagner wants to try that top line, as you just said. He did it at the start with Jeff Scott. He tries it again, and Scott drives himself into the wall. So, attempt number 2 didn't go well for Roughneck Racing.
Yeah, that's not how you start that run. Easy to do, though. The front end of this car under downforce, sometimes up near that wall, it can be slippery. And I know track stayed about 35% when they started practice here today, and it all carried over. So this track probably got some marbles up there real high. Easy to lose traction up there. 7 car back there on roads again. It looked like maybe Ellis got the back of him that time. Trying to push back up here. The 52 probably going to have a little bit better go at it this time. Oh, they dropped down in front of him now. And it looks like this 70 of Teresa Spiker is going to go to the inside for the top 5.
Spiker seems to really want to be the one in control here. She runs the bottom line in the pink and blue machine. That's the furthest up that bottom line has gotten. That's with the help of Richard Hurst, the winner from last time out at Auto Club. Hurst trying to push Spiker to the point.
A lot of turbulence there down the front stretch, but still glued to that back bumper. And a bump in the turns, that's brave. Causes a wiggle behind him. I think Britt might have got checked up there. So he's out of the groove now to the bottom of the racetrack.
Yeah, you can't push in the corners with the Gen 6 car. And that's been something for a lot of drivers that's popped up in big events as of late. When they haven't used the next-gen car is unlearning the fact you can push in the corners in a lot of cases in the newer cars.
And a new damage model working really well for the trucks as we see Ellis, Casey Ellis drops down in front of the 70. Still no push here, maybe gonna go back out, I'm not sure. I think that was a wise move. The momentum had died pretty much from the inside line. Now loses a couple positions. We're outside of the top 10 almost here for the bottom line. But I do have something that I was supposed to say that I forgot to say pre-race. I'm gonna shout out here to Taylor Duncan. VRX very much looks forward to racing with you in the future. So shout out to you, Taylor. That's coming from Mama T.
Well, Mama T looking very solid, trying to tee things up on the bottom. Keep in mind, we are approaching the pit window pretty soon with that 15 gallons or so in the tank here tonight. Here's a look from Mama T. They are reaching their first lap traffic of the day. We mentioned 2 drivers didn't make the initial start of the race. Todd Mays, Dustin Buck, both started from the pit lane. Well, They've been told by the leaders, stay to the bottom. That is leader's choice for tonight's race per race control.
Yeah, during the pre-race meeting, I got a little piece of that information as well. And after talking about the below the double yellow rule, they talked about all lap cars have to keep it low. And we see right here, I don't know that that's quite what they meant.
I don't think that's what they meant at all. That's a pass attempt for the lucky dog from Dustin Buck in the heart of the pack.
Well, I mean, the leaders are technically by at this point. Bend the rules a little bit, maybe?
I mean, it's brave. It worked indeed, because Mays is at the back, and now Dustin Buck is in the heart of the pack. In fact, he is in the top grouping of cars in the main group.
Well, I mean, to survive, sometimes you got to make a gutsy call. He found the hole. I don't think he really broke anyone's momentum up. They maybe cut him a break a little bit there, but nobody really lost any positions, so I don't see where that was too bad of a call. Now drops down in front of the 13. I think he's trying to go back and get his lap back in case there's a yellow. This could be a situation where he gets his lap back, and then the wave around would be Todd Mays, so they both get back on the lead lap.
Main key, though, has to be, you'd have to think, don't be the caution. Better yet, don't get involved in said trouble. Big side draft attempts. They are drifting along with the 3 wide. Scott losing some ground up top side. Lots of close calls with the 7 car. And now Wagoner losing lots of ground with the top 4, all dropping to the bottom with pit stops coming up.
On board here with Hennings, if they are pitting this time by, let's ride in the cockpit with the number 74 and show you how difficult it is to get on and off pit road. I don't think they're going to do it this time around, but they are getting close.
Keep in mind, it takes a few laps to set it up in the first place. If you're pitting from the second line, you're not going to make friends if the first line has a driver not yet pitting. Here's a look at Hennings and his viewpoint here tonight. The triple monitors in full effect. And plenty of racing memorabilia. And in fact, it's a 4-screen setup. Forgot about the top one that has that little V-screen sticker on it.
Yeah, it's got that V-speed up there, VRX on the right. I love that. I mean, we need more on there. I don't think he has enough. We need more stickers.
Do you have stickers to send him?
Oh, I've got plenty of stickers, for sure.
Well, I think you answered that first part. Pit stops coming up.
There we
Hunter,
go.
several more coming in. There goes the wave of drivers. Here's the look from Hennings and his viewpoint. And a few drivers getting close. One driver behind him missed the commitment cone in Jeffrey Hunter. Everybody else getting close to the speed limit, but at least in the lane.
Little smoke screen there from Mulcahy, too, when Hennings was trying to find the entrance. Everybody's, oh no, Mulcahy slides through his stall. That's going to cost him some time. He's still trying to find it. 15 as well missed it.
Oh, and Mulcahy still yet to get in the box. This is painful. Still too far to the left. This is going to cost him possibly the whole draft. And he just says, you know what, let's go. Let's just go. Did he even stop in the box?
I don't know that he actually got stopped.
Here comes the next wave. And Howerton.
Oh, the 30
no.
loses it.
Fagioni picking up a speeding penalty, 2 from that incident. Wagoner having a big slide on the entry. Benjamin Richards speeding on pit exit. Penalties are building up. Trouble. Caution flag is out of the racetrack. And it's a pileup involving your dominant driver all race. Mulcahy gets into it.
Maybe he ran out of fuel here. I'm not entirely sure, but the left front of that car is not even connected anymore. He's dragging it through the grass.
Caution
with all the
flag.
problems.
Apparently, it's going to get even bigger. There's more spins in turn 2. Apparently, Chris Phillips ran over him on pit exit, Bradley.
Oh, no. All right, let's go back and try to unpack this here.
Remember, 818 is just trying to get off pit road at this point. Regroup. Then here comes Phillips, much more speed, more confidence. Oh no.
No, I think Aguirre got involved in that. That's where the secondary, upside down there for the 8 car. Richard Hurst involved. 54, Mace was trying to get back on the lead lap. That's going to prevent that from happening. Let's go on board with the 8 car here.
And that's just painful.
I think Mulcahy ran out of fuel. Oh, looking back right there, you just know it's gonna come. It's coming for you.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do the second you get turned up the track from the banking up towards that way. And again, that all sparked from the 818 having that disastrous sequence. Looks like they had some sputters here, but that hit, steering's gone. And there's a lot of trouble on the racetrack. Teresa Spiker is out of fuel on the track, and she's the leader.
Looks like Benjamin Richards is going to help her to pit road here. They're waiting on her. She might have got it refired here.
A lot, to say the very least there.
That's a lot to unpack. A lot of things happening. I know you've got race chatter, so I'm missing some of this stuff that's happening simultaneously while we're watching the replays. But it looks like Teresa's going to make it to her stall. As long as she doesn't slide through, she'll be okay. She's going to be... Oh, no!
Oh.
That's going to do it right there.
Wow. All she had to do was get in the box. Now she has to take a tow. And that was Shane Gunter getting into her. Wow. I mean, you got to get pit, you got to pit, but also, what else do you say here?
Yeah, I mean, technically not staying all the way to the right-hand side, but she was out of fuel, so she didn't want to hold up anybody getting to the box. It just dominoed exactly right there in front of her stall.
And you see right there, Gunter was missed his stall by 2 boxes in the first place.
Yeah. Let's go back one more time here.
I gotta go. Oh no, and I missed it.
Tell you what, man, we've seen some things here in this lap 28 crash and a variety of problems on pit road. Cars running out of fuel, cars not hitting their boxes. One thing that's stayed consistent, though, Brian Hennings is still up front. He no longer has that 818, though, as his drafting partner. So could this be the chance for another line to challenge the 74 car being up front?
That's a massive question here. There's a lot of drivers talking things over here. 2 EOL penalties, by the way, this caution. Both Phillips and Mulcahy given cause of caution, with Phillips hitting the back of Mulcahy, but Mulcahy being 20 miles an hour slower than the 6 on the pit exit. Also, amongst those with passing under yellow and or speeding from prior to the caution, Faccioni and Richards with penalties. We're about to get all set to go for the restart here. Well, oh, by the way, this basically makes it a one-stopper, so there's that.
Yeah, I think it stretches it out far enough. Maybe if you're the lead cars with that clean air out in front of you, you might not make it. So they want to save as much as they can here. I mean, everybody's going to pit one more time. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, exactly. And remember, they went 27 laps before the green flag stop started. There is under 50 to go. There's a couple laps of variable in there, yes, but you might be able to just split the run in half and get to the end quickly, or just run it out and go to the end.
You're definitely going to pit with your partners. That's the first thing you need to communicate is what lap you're deciding to go in. We've seen it a little bit there in podium racing. Guys planning accordingly, even if they had damage to pit together, so they could get back up to the front.
There's a lot of conversation by the way on the radio because a lot of those drivers who pit, some of them ended up losing a lap. There's only 20 cars in the lead lap, the last of those being William Britton here, and they're still trying to sort out where some of these cars need to be here for the restart. They've had to extend the caution because some of the competitors have not caught up to the field yet. So the pace car will come out one more time here before the green flag.
Oh.
And somebody missed the memo.
I believe it was the 56 of Richards and the 58 machine. It's Dustin Buck. He just, I don't know, ran into the back of the 56 car. They're still trying to sort out this field, though. There's a lot of cars a lap down. They're still checking up here hard.
It is one to go. It is one to go, mind you. Here's the thing, Chris Phillips, at the very least, dropped to the back here with the EOL before, but also to top off on gas. Jimmy Sachs, also amongst those who's a lap down, electing to top off. And Jared Epker is still trying to sort out where that 11 car needs to start out here.
Yeah, Epker got sideways there on the front stretch. I'm not sure what's going on with him either. I've seen it all here tonight, I think. I've seen a little bit of everything in just a short 3-lap span of time.
Have we seen a drag race down the back straightaway's apron yet?
Not yet, but I think 3 to go. We might.
Have we seen a foot race yet?
Is there a Wonder Bread car in the field?
Surprisingly, no. But
Is Edwards here?
Carl Edwards? No.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Those are 2 chances. Those are 2 chances. I've seen it in real life, not on the sim.
Anyhow, to reset how this is grouped up right now, it's Rhodes, Hennings, Ellis, McDonald, Palmer, Milkowitz, Watern, Scott, Wagoner, and Evans in the top 10. Of those, about half have gained double-digit positions. At least one, Casey Ellis, up 20 positions. In fact, 2 when you combine Ricky Evans. Just about all set to get back underway after a chaotic caution flag. 3 different drivers coming into this restart have to come down to pit road still. Sox, Richard, and Vacchioni, the third. And they have delayed the restart again because they crashed at the back. John Hudson is around and a couple others are spun. Christopher Hodges is also stopped. And, well, your Talladega Nights throwback of his own.
So, Hudson, I don't even know where he is position-wise to grab a hold of this car and figure out what happened.
Well, Hudson was 19th at the stripe in the 3 car. He and Hodges are at the tail end of the lead lap. I'm curious on what the look is here. This has been a wild one already. Let's take a look once again.
There's a huge check up there on the inside. And then Hodges in the 34. It's like a Mama T machine there. Go on the replay on board here. Teresa, Mama T, she was sponsoring that car and checked up in front of it there. I don't know what the checkup was for.
Yeah, here's the 1 hour look. Oh, yeah, that's a Jimmy Jack. It's called Jimmy Jacking for those who don't know the term. Basically, you speed up, then hit the brakes hard, slow down dramatically, and then you have a Jimmy Jack like a truck.
Maybe this time, Justin will get a green. We'll see. trying to sort out this field. The top 10 have stayed the same. Still confused. We had maybe cars that got the wave around is why roads in the 19th and 20th position were back there.
We've had a lot of drivers top off because of the delayed restarts here. Because remember, when it's delayed and you have come down and pit, what like most have, you can come down again because technically pit road's back open. So long as you do it safely. Restart is now underway after a dramatic caution period. We're down to 47 laps to go from Ditka. And a lot of communication on the radio on the lines already, but a good start for Hennings. He works with Rhodes up front, but here comes the run on the inside. A chance for a first race lead change on track outside of the pit road.
33 of Paul McDonald has the 13 of Don Milkowitz behind him. Looks like they've went stagnant here. Not really any pushing at all from the 7 car, but they were able to maintain pretty well here into the entrance of 3. Now the 33 getting a surge of speed down on the bottom here for McDonald again. He almost got into second position, but not connected to that bumper. And the 13 is going to have to get closer on the exit of 4 if they want any chance to get by.
And it doesn't look like the 13's got the interest, or at least the pace quite yet to close up to those bumpers. So in turn for now, back to a regular station programming in terms of the middle line being the better line, at least in the early going it seems. But a lot of comers and goers in terms of your front runners now because the cautions. McDonald, Palmer, Milkowitz amongst those who are back in the conversation. Who's also in the conversation? Greg Spiker is amongst those who are still in the lead lap in that green and yellow machine. He was at the very tail end of the field before the caution and hadn't hit yet until said caution.
It's kind of a Chad Little throwback kind of theme on this VRX number 65. Maybe it's supposed to have a custom number stamp on it, not entirely sure there. But looks good. Sharp colors. Great choice of colors on that VRX green and yellow, and now takes it to the bottom. He's in the top 10. He just needs probably another hole to open up. It might open up here on the exit of turn 3 and 4, where he can get to that outside. Because I'm yet to see anything impressive. Everybody's tried it so far on the bottom, and they're not able to do it.
Eventually, somebody's going to have to get that to work, though, if you want to make a path for the lead here. And at this point, what do you think? What do you discuss as a team here in terms of how this can play out, knowing, well, is it more so the issue with the lane, or is it just the issue of the second car? No offense to Milkowitz.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the case or not. I've seen quite a few talented drafters come up here and push. We had Hurst down there on the bottom with the 70 of Spiker, and they surged up the fastest, but the problem is Hurst bumped the 70 car in kind of a no zone and sent them back pretty much in time to back where they had started that run. So I think it's just going to take kind of what the 818 and the 74 were doing, where they bumped just before the entrance of 3 and then back each other up there. I think that's kind of the recipe if you want to surge up to the front.
That bottom line is starting to pick back up the momentum to get alongside second. And it looks like the opening's there. Oh, McDonald has a chance to make up past EIEIO. That doesn't work if it's not McDonald. The 33 is getting good pushes now, all of a sudden.
Yeah, good shove there down the back stretch. He's neck and neck now with Hennings. Going into 3 and 4. Cars up into the wall. Everyone skates up the track. That was Mace up in the middle of that in the 54. There's, I believe, the 38 machine was on the outside of Jeff Scott. They all followed each other straight up into that exit wall.
And a lot of scattering as a result, yes. But it looks like everyone indeed, as you noted, starting to get that separation back. Although Dustin Buck seems to be treating these cars like they're next-gen machines. He's pushing in the corner to the point where he's damaged the front nose. Now he's pushing a car in the wall. Oh, contact and crashing. For the second time, the 818's in a crash. No caution yet. We stay green. But Mulcahy's out of contention as there's a slide up the track of the back. There's the caution. And the second pack just misses the stop car. Mike Cheevers, Jared Epker amongst those crash to the backstretch.
I don't think he's going to be able to get this car back to pit road. Heavy impact with the outside wall. And yeah, he's pretty much stranded. The front end's beached on the track. Let's take you back on the V-Speed Instant Replay, find out exactly how this happened. We kind of saw the beginning of it. We'll back it up to the original 58 car. He was bump drafting on the outside here, all over the back of Todd Mace.
This is a no-no in the first place in the corner.
Yeah. And then Mulcahy gets involved. And what happened to the 5? Oh, he's down on the inside wall. Almost hits the 05. PJ Cox, but he comes back up on the racing surface. These guys just barely miss. Let's see if we can figure out how he got down there to begin with.
That was absolute carnage. Here's a look again, as you said. The 5 was at the very back of all this. Oh.
When Mulcahy got bounced into the wall, he came across the 11, sent him into the 05, or the 5, rather, and that's unfortunate.
And that puts us under caution. Here is a look from Cheevers on board.
Ouch. I mean, he did a phenomenal job of trying to keep that car down there, but it's broken on that left front. He really has no control of it, even if he hits the brakes.
And as you mentioned, PJ Cox extremely lucky not to get contact there. He had a tech issue. That's why he was back there 3 laps down. That could have been the race right there for the 05. But top off time for most of the drivers. Headings the first off the pit road. To start off the halfway point of this race, everybody on the lead lap coming down during this caution period. Your lucky dog, this caution, by the way, sort that in a moment here, believe is Jeffrey Hunter, who is now in the 20th position in the 15 car. And he was amongst those in some of the attrition earlier on. Already back in the lead lap. It only took him a few laps after all the attrition built up yet again for this caution flag.
Gonna have a couple wave arounds as well. It looks like the 58 car. I don't know if Dustin Buck will get it or not because he was technically part of that contact during the caution, so he'll probably get an EOL out of this. The 22 machine might have a chance at a wave around if he didn't get any contact. iRacing, if you get any kind of contact, any kind of damage during the caution coming out, it will reject your wave around. And so these guys might be trapped because I know the 05, he just missed it, but I don't think he is going to be scored ahead of Hennings as far as position goes here for the pace laps. 033 car of Luke Rakowski technically right now being scored on the lead lap. We'll have to wait and see what happens with the lights go out on the pace car. But right now we've got 20 cars technically still in the lead lap, provided these guys in the front don't get the wave.
So as everyone gets everything sorted out here over the radio, we're just around that midway point of the race here at Talladega, which means it's time for the Thrustmaster Through the Field, presented by Thrustmaster. Up in front, it's Brian Hennings. He's led 11 laps so far. He was the pusher much of the first run before the chaotic first caution period. Casey Ellis, he's now turned into the pusher for Hennings. He's in second spot right now in the 35 after starting back in 24th in the Ghost car. Third spot, he's amongst those who tried to get the top line working earlier, and now he's up in the front regardless. Jeff Scott from 25th to 3rd. In the 4th spot on the racetrack, it's the 7 car of Logan Rhodes. He's been up front much of the way. He got shuffled a couple times with some of the checkups, Despite that, has been able to keep up front since then, despite damage. In the 5th position, James Wagoner. His 30 car's been trying to get a third line working several times tonight. Now he starts at the bottom for the restart. Alongside him is Greg Spiker. That machine had to come from very deep in the field and from losing the main draft a couple times to get to this position. In the 7th spot right now, from a fast repair to the top 10, Richard Hurst. Remember, went upside down in the midst of that chaotic sequence before with Aguilar and company. In 8th position is Paul McDonald. Had a chance for the race lead, but dropped back in the pit road. Don Milkowitz also dropping back in result for that pit sequence. He's currently scored around the 9th position. And rounding out your top 10 on the racetrack, it's the 43 in the Petty Blue. It's Wade Palmer. So with that being said, that's today's Through the Field, presented by Thrustmaster, as we get set for the Green Bradley.
We're going to be sitting right around that pit window. If these guys extend to another caution, it could be one of those races where everyone comes in, tops off with fuel, and runs it out to the end. I could see somebody possibly running 30 laps on this run if they baby it enough in the drafts. We'll have to wait and see if the strategy comes into play. But right now, we still have another pit stop that can happen under green with more than 30 laps to go.
Remember, drivers pit around lap 27 with the 15-gallon tanks earlier on in this day. We'll see how they plan it out now with strategy becoming a major forefront. Hennings in control. Green flag is out. Back underway. Will the dog box racing car of Ellis work with him immediately? Will he try and take it away? Instead, he'll have to work immediately with the 74. 74 with the block. Ellis to the bottom.
And Hennings blocking that run. The inside line didn't really get going, so he had kind of a chance to go up and then go down. Played both lines. Ellis going to go to the bottom. Hennings knows he doesn't want to be there, so he's trying to coerce that 35 car. Hey, come on up here. We'll run the middle. No one's been able to take it over. 7 car goes back to the point. 35, I don't think he has a chance here unless that 38 car surges right now. He's not going to take the lead. He tried, though.
And that top line already getting back to working fast with the help of Rhodes instead this time. Rhodes has been willing to push a fair few amount of drivers here. Wagoner able to make his way up to 3rd as a result of that as well. So with that being said here, friends are where you find them when it comes to super speedway racing. And in terms of looking at some of the various alliances right now, this is essentially working to the plan for the most part. If you're not only the 74, but really more so potentially in the camp of Hennings. He's got a lot of big names that have been helping him in various parts of the pack to give him a good read on that side. You have Wagoner, who's been able to find a lot of friends tonight. You have the Spikers that are amongst those that seem to be friendly in terms of that camp. You've got a good amount of friends, it looks like, gathered up here up front with the track position. Compare that to the back, and it's nearly 4 wide.
Yeah, 52 on the outside, and Michael Howardson, he got stuck up there on the outside, and luckily it sorted itself out, because I don't think we would have made it too far with that car down on the apron.
Yeah, that was after Howardson getting absolutely shuffled back, and they've nearly lost the draft. Very tail end of that pack. You already see some of the others trying to get to work. By the way, you asked the question about, is there any Wonder Bread cars in the field? Anyone for Ricky Bobby? There is technically the 34.
Yeah.
And Mama T instead is on the hood instead of a Lion. And instead of I want to go fast, it says I want to join VRX. Not bad.
And it's pretty spot on. We recognized it as soon as we saw it there earlier. Unfortunately, we saw it during some chaos and that check up there on the restart. But man, they're 3 wide again up here front of the pack. Steve Aguilar is in the middle of this, leading it, and now Mace going to drop down and try to give him some help. 3 car on the outside, really close to the wall for all those cars. 28 check up here.
That was a massive block from the 11. And now Fagioni pushed down under the apron too. Collins going down to the yellow line with 2 tires. Now they're shuffling below the yellow line with PJ Cox. There's so much going on here. My goodness, how are they still holding on despite their best efforts? They're trying to have trouble.
Yeah, 3-car gets shuffled into the middle. He falls back. That's John Hudson. He's got the 28 now up on the back bumper. Remember, the 28 of Bill Daniels is being scored a lap down, so some of these cars are a mix of lap down cars and cars that are just trying to stay with the top 10, and they can't find a break. They keep getting pulled back deeper. 3 wide still. 11 car on the outside. He's being scored, I believe that's Epker in the 31st position, but he's all the way up to about race 14th here.
William Britton amongst those who won spots back. He's on the lead lap. He's actually amongst the top 15 on the racetrack on the lead lap, but he's more so in the 20s when it comes to the pack so far. He just seems to not be getting any breaks here to be able to get in front of all these lappers.
We go back up front. Ellis and everybody on the inside line has lost so much ground. The 13 of Milkowicz has lost 5-6 positions since he dropped down there. Now they're 3 wide from about 6th place on back. The 11 of Epker, who again is a lap down, is pulling the 56 of Richards up here, but a little tag with the exit wall, and we've got trouble with the 1 car around.
Caution flag is out. Contact with Britton, part of the cause. John Hudson into it. Michael Howerton the wrong way around. Chris Phillips putting on the brakes. And a few more joining on in. Britton with the only meatball flag for the incident. But in turn, this makes it very close on strategy from here.
Right in that window, I think I come down pit road, top off, and I don't pit the rest of this race. I think they're good to go. Let's go back, though, with Logan Water in the number 1. I think he got the start of this with the 56 hitting the outside wall. I think it checked up everybody.
Speed incident replay. Water amongst those on the top. That 56, keep in mind, is Benjamin Richards. Just trying to push Epker right before that moment, and then they both went in the wall.
Yeah, then Britton gets, it's just an accordion effect. The 1 car gets tagged, the 52, the 28 involved, and the 64 was the, you said the only car with a meatball flag on that one.
And that's going to hurt the chances, obviously, for the 64 the rest of the way. Here's a look at Britton. What did he see? Remember, it's right in front of him within a second. And a lot of damaged race cars from that. Of course, Britton, the only one with a broken axle.
Yeah, I see it there on that right rear toe link, completely shot.
Couple drivers out of the race, by the way. Looks like Aguilar's parked it for the night after that incident there. Waterburn is also now having to do with the black flag. Not for the caution, but for the pit entry because he just ducked down with the pit road technically closed. Shane Gunter also just got a black flag on the entry, but it just got cleared because they're trying to sort out the drivers on the racetrack. Differing strategies on track, Bradley.
Well, and I see a wave around there. I believe that's the 70 of Teresa Spiker. We've got a few people that stayed out, a few drivers that are going to be Jeffrey Hunter in the 15. I mean, he's got 24 laps on this stint, so I don't know what the call is here. Track position's key, but if you don't have enough fuel to make it to the end, it doesn't matter.
So a lot of drivers trying to sort out what the plan is the rest of the way here. So it's 13, 43, 15 in terms of your drivers staying out here. Now, that's the big question mark for Hunter. Hunter's 23 laps into a stint here. He didn't pit the last caution either. That is a big call on hoping it stays green in the next 5 laps to get you into the fuel window. Or rather, get a caution in the next 5.
Yeah,
That car's got a lot of damage too.
I think it comes down pit road this time. This is suicide if he doesn't come down. I don't think that this is going to work out. End of the race here, 20 laps to go. You're already beyond that in your fuel run now. to stay out here, even with being in the top 5. It's just not going to last. And even with Wade Palmer and Don Milkowitz, they're 10 laps into this stint. They're not going to make it on fuel. I don't think they can clutch it enough being up front here to be able to afford to make it.
So the 1971 Grateful Dead tribute car. We'll see if they elect to take the closed pit entry penalty. Probably not here. Others are topping off. Oh, and it looks like he is going to come down. Pardon. Yes, indeed, he is coming down here. But remember, he didn't pit the first time. That's a closed pit entry penalty automatically. And if race control elects not to clear that type of a penalty, in turn, that's a green flag penalty for pitting with the pit road closed. 1 to go on the racetrack for everybody else.
That's going to give Milkowitz and Wade Palmer the front row here. Brian Hennings, more of the same. He's been up front most of the day. He'll catch up here. It looks like the 10 car needs to let this entire field by. Maggione, he's going to have to let these guys around. There you go.
Yeah.
He's actually scored 2 laps down. He's not going to get a wave, so he needs to check up and let this entire field by so they can get going. He just needs to stop right here on the backstretch.
Yeah, and a lot of drivers need to catch up to the field, if anything. That's still half the field coming back from topping off, by the way. That's why it's taken a little bit, and he'll have a ton of drivers lining up on the bottom of the bank of pass here at the very bottom. By the way, they have cleared the penalty for the 15, so Hunter will not have to serve a green flag penalty or electing to pit with the 2 to go signal despite the pit road closed penalty. All that with Milkowitz in control here. It's still an interesting call for the 13 and 43 with them being outside the projected window still by a few laps and everybody else in save mode.
I think the window here for 3rd place on back, 4th place of these guys, I think they can make it. It's going to be close. Again, 20 to go roughly would make me feel better, but 30 to go, that's pushing it.
Now regroup for the restart this time. First those who pit, Hennings and Rhodes. Keep in mind, 7 on back, elect to either get damage repair done or take tires. 3 changes, or rather 3 cautions, 6 lead changes here today. Whoever's controlled the middles, controlled the race. We're back away. Who controls it from here? Milkowitz, not able to clear this time. Wade Palmer has a chance to build a run if he can get some momentum and fast.
This might be the first time we see the inside work on a restart all day. 74 of Hennings, who's been up front 90% of this race, has the surge here with the 13 car, and they get a decent run out of 2, but looks like the 7 of Rhodes is going to get connected. It's not enough, and I'm predicting this. Hennings is going to move up a lane here. There it is.
There's the block indeed to be able to build that run. He's been confident up there all race. It looks like neither of those who stayed out, as we expected, want to be the leader here. Wagoner gets a bad push in the heart of the pack, and that checks up the bottom.
He got a surge there. He was actually glued to the back of the 13 already, and the 38 got to the back of him. 3-car tandem doesn't work in this Gen 6 car, so they're going to have to take some notes on that. With 30 to go, don't try that again.
By the way, Palmer now up to 2nd as a result of all that. That bottom groove already losing lots of ground. You know who's making up some ground? Todd Mays. He's a lap down. He really wants that lucky dog spot. Some of his competitors are losing ground because Howardson's in the wall. Jimmy Sock's in that race for the lucky dog losing spots. Bill Daniels also trying to find a way to get to that 54 and quickly.
And Mays puts himself down on the bottom. That means that he doesn't have those guys contending with him because the outside line is mostly lead lap cars now at this point. He's getting a good shove from the back end of the 13 going into 1. and looking like he might get up to the top 5 here and maintain that lucky dog pass if the caution does come out. He had an opportunity earlier in this race, but got caught up in that accident on the outside with the 58.
Now, it looks like some drivers are saying, you know what? I don't feel this. Shane Gunter just backed out of the pack. So a couple drivers are trying to get away from things. There's Gunter, who's now dropped to the second pack, trying to play things very safely here with the 2x2, and a lot of chitter chatter going on up at the front.
They're trying to sort it out, but the middle, again, going back to domination mode. Palmer on the back, Parker of Hennings. Hennings has led 22 laps now. The only other driver to, oh my goodness, the 7 car in a big wreck here.
Multiple drivers flipping. They're up and under, and over goes Palmer. Several more spin down the banking. They're still crashing on the exit of turn 2. At least 10, 15 cars stack up, and the lead pack has imploded.
That was from second place back there. And it all started with the 43 and the 7. The 7 just peaked out ever so slightly with a run going into 1 and 2. I don't think we got a camera far enough away to see all this.
They're still wrecking in the corner, by the way. Britton just wrecked with Greg Pillar, trying to get it back going. It's to the point where there were so many cars in the incident. William Britton just said on the radio, he thought the pace car was another driver.
Wow. Well, I can take you back far enough here to see what happened to Wade Palmer to start this off.
And it looked all fine. It's been this way much of the way. And then it's a little further back, mind you, but by the time, by the time they get to turn 1, again, it comes down to pushing in the corner.
Yeah, the 7 car kind of did that no-no again, where it got up on the right rear panel, which is even worse. You can kind of get away with it if you hit center, but he gets hanging on this right rear. So here we come up on 1 and 2. We're hitting triangle. You'll see where this little mistake happens. We'll take the blimp view of this so you can get a good angle of it. But yeah, just a mistake there. I don't think that the 43 really did anything wrong here. He was kind of letting it breathe down low. And yeah, the 7 car thought, well, maybe he's moving out of line here and I'll go to the outside, but he kept it so close that when the 43 realized it, they were making contact.
And with it being in the heart of the field, a lot of drivers getting a lot of trouble. Here's what William Britton's seen. Well, I don't think he hit anybody in the first wave. And it's a parking lot.
Let's sort this out with the 43 car up over, end over end, but this all happening after the fact. That car went from the fence to the grass, and I think everyone behind him just collected.
There's so much to unpack here. A lot of drivers going to unpack their faster pair probably. Here, there's the move you're talking about. And then they still wrecked out of turn 2 with the 54.
So back it up one more time here, give you another look from the flip camera. These guys go even further into turn 2 and slide down into the inside. Mace just trying to get that car to stop. I think it was broken. Wow. Yeah, that's the big one. That's going to cost a few repairs. Some of those guys had already used their first one, so Hennings is just glad it happened right behind him and not in front of him.
That takes out a lot of drivers, as to be expected. And, oh, by the way, we're inside the fuel window, so just about most of the field, while we showed the replays, topped off on fuel or took tires, except for Hennings, McDonald, Watern, and Gunter. Well, that was a smart play for the 22, now was it, in retrospect?
yeah, I think it works out all right for him. I think it worked out okay for maybe this top 4 will make it here with the extension of the yellow. I don't know. And again, I wish I had the numbers here that I could crunch, but I guess nobody would know better. Let's try pulling up Brian Hennings here and see what he says about this, because right now I don't think they can make it. It's going to be really, really close.
Want to go signal. And as they get sorted, Hennings, McDonald, Waterman, Gunter, Milkowitz, Kulski, along with Phillips, Hunter, Hurst, and Ellis in your top 10 coming up here. Time of the stripe. We do have a couple drivers having to drop back, like Mike Cheevers, who hope to get a wave around. Cheevers running 11 laps down. And
So,
what's happened in this past few sequences here, it obviously leads to the question, how do you pass for the lead? Because it seems whoever's in second has not had a fun time.
no, they have not. And I was going to pull the 74 of Hennings up here, but it looks like the room, I won't be able to drag him back in there. It's one of the created rooms, so I'll have to get that sorted with these guys to see if we can work on that for the next broadcast. I'm afraid to move him and not be able to move him back. But yeah, anybody that's been in second position, the leader dictating the start, Hennings knows the middle is fast, so he's moving up in front. As soon as he crosses that line, he moves up to the middle lane, and whoever's behind him, he drags the brakes and makes them push him into one. It's been the strategy from the beginning of this race. Really, he's going to run there, and he knows it. However, we did see a challenge with that 74 car on the inside to start this and pulled the 43 of Palmer up there. So it is possible for these cars to pass on the inside. I think it has to happen on the start.
So now 22 laps to go in what has been a Talladega race.
Talladega race for sure.
We've had the big one, we've had cars upside down, we've had crashes under caution, we've had crashes coming to green, we've had pit road penalties, we've had speeding penalties. Hennings counting down the entire field as the green flag waves.
They're going for the grass. It's the 05. The 5, rather.
Wow, Mike Cheevers getting hit coming to the green. And obviously that's an unsafe pit exit / entry. Jeff Scott also involved, has broken his front nose.
These guys are going to lose a ton of time, but they're probably working on another caution here to get these guys caught back up. 13 car gets shuffled out of line down below the yellow, down the backstretch, and he's trying to get the one of Logan Watern, who we just saw on that restart was in the top 5. He's falling all the way back to 8th now.
That play not working out too well so far for the one machine, it seems. Not a lot of drivers wanting to be on the bottom of the racetrack. In turn, oh, look who's in the top 5 yet again, or at least in the top grouping. Richard Hurst. Really seen this before. Last week for one. But remember, he's amongst those who has had to recover from some big incidents in his VR headset. And is that a whole card store behind him?
I think it is. Yeah, that's a lot going on back there, but yeah, he's had to use his fast repairs, so this race has to go perfect from here on out for the 21 machine if he wants to go back-to-back here tonight.
Right now, it seems to be in position at least to hold on to at least 7. 7, by the way, of Rhodes getting shuffled back. You know who's also up there is Hodges. He's been everywhere on the leaderboard. From 34th to 6th. That's how the race has gone so far for the Mama T cars. Here's a look at a very packed room full of stuff to his right. Or to our right, his left.
That's a Luigi hat, I believe, in the back there.
Can't
He's
tell.
going to surge on the outside.
Oh boy, he wants to go, and trouble!
70th Spiker.
Mama T's in the wall. Caution flag is
Wow.
out. Jimmy sucks full throttle into it. More contact, Dustin Bucks and Jared Emker crash at the apron. And a race to the pace car. as the caution flag waves. A lot of hard hits once again on the apron. Epker already out.
I mean, if you're Jeff, I don't know about that. He said that I don't know. You got to hit the brakes there.
Yeah. I think we need to take another look if we can, possibly, because, well, first, the caution for the 70. That's why there was the hesitation. But here's Jimmy Socks.
I guess I could see now where he didn't really predict. I don't even think he saw that. I didn't see the car that was stuck in that smoke in the middle of that. Kind of shot out in front of him.
Oh, by the way, Jimmy Socks made the contact at 196 miles an hour.
Wow.
No lift.
Yeah, I mean, those cars are going to be positions regardless. They're getting tangled up in a wreck. A little checkup would probably be permitted there. That ends his day. I mean, that's it for Socks. He already had his fast repair used and now finds himself completely totaled. That car's done for the day.
So the 01 machine had been in the conversation for the Lucky Dog at the time of the caution. Not anymore. And now, pacing continues with a lot of drivers towards the back, electing top off. So things looking very, very good for Brian Hennings, I'll say right now, because he has just controlled this race. Since taking the lead and has not looked back, no one's been able to pass him.
Yeah, and the extension here of being able to run pace laps now pretty much, I think, seals the deal that he can make it to the end of this race. You see 14 laps on the stint, but only about 5 or 6 of those have been under green. So now, with this late race caution, breeding caution mentality here tonight, I think the 74 car, the 33, they've been up front for the remaining laps. I think they're going to keep it there. Hennings dictating the start, move up to the middle. I don't think anyone's going to challenge it. It'll have to come from the middle, from behind him there.
The wild thing about the whole sequence so far is the past 3 restarts, Hennings given the whole field a countdown on when he's going. In theory, the whole field should know exactly when to hit the gas. But the top 2, Hennings and whoever's been to the outside, seem to be the only ones who have gotten the memo. Third on back, we've seen as far back as 3 car lengths heading to turn 1.
And that could be a case of the air. I don't know how bad the momentum swings here, but these guys might just be getting some bad draft until they get up to speed. I don't know that this car is very effective at low speed with draft. It's actually got some aero push to it, so maybe the car is just backing up the corner here to get the run. I don't know what the plan is there. Maybe sleeping at the start. I really don't know what to say with that.
Here's a look at that 33 machine for Paul. It's been running towards the front, yet to get to the race lead yet. But several have trusted the 33 here as the pusher or the pushee. The pushee case usually on the bottom of the racetrack. This has kind of been a different type of race at Dega, where you expect lead changes after lead changes. This has been almost whoever runs the middle is follow the leader. It's kind of weird almost compared to what our races we've seen in general, even with the Gen 6 car here.
Yeah, and I don't know what the product of this is, because we've had a lot of practices and races here at VRX, fun races in the off season and prior to this moment of drivers doing exactly what you said. Lots of lead changes, lots of surges to the front, guys willing to take that outside. It actually worked. And now here tonight, it seems like a single groove racetrack that we were seeing on the sim before the tire model came out. And with the dynamic track, I don't think really playing any kind of a factor. That's not going to change. I think the middle is still going to be dominant all the way to the very end of this race. But what I do fear, if you're Brian Hennings, who's led a lot of laps here today, do you get comfortable up front? And you got to predict that that middle line on that last lap is going to jump out from behind you and try to take advantage of the fact that you've been up there all day.
You got to feel he knows exactly where that's going to come, because drivers are already being told by Hennings that he's going to give the field a countdown again, by the way, hence hesitation. But if you don't go for it, what else can you say?
Yeah, I mean, it's a race, right? You have to.
Yeah. Yeah, in most cases, at the very least, even if you're getting the help all the way to the final lap, we've seen about 99 times out of 100 that 100th time where it hasn't happened, being a Coke race, funnily enough, they usually duck out by the front stretch and say, okay, I've helped you get here. Now I'm going to try and see if I can win this myself.
Yeah, I never want to be the lead car at these tracks. Daytona, Talladega, now even Atlanta included in that as well. As the pace car pulls off, we get ready to go back. Green flag racing with 16 laps to go as they cross the line. And Brian Hennings, the dominant car of the day. The 33 of Paul McDonald on the outside. Let's see the countdown here by Hennings. Into the restart zone we go. Can he lead the last one? Because like I said, don't want to be that car as the green flag comes back out.
16 to go at the stripe. Shane Gunter has a chance to try and jump to second. Doesn't have any help though behind him yet again. McDonald able to get a lot of help behind there, more organized on the top. No surprise, Hennings with the block, McDonald with the block up and the lift up, and quickly to the bumper.
That was kind of gentle there. I thought maybe the 033 and the 33 would have some kind of secret alliance because they share numbers, but they elect to stay right behind Hennings, get up on his bumper. Not the case back here around 10th position, just behind Greg Spiker, 3 wide, the 7, that's the 14 of Ricky Evans falling to the middle here. He's lost about 5-6 positions as he gets stuck in the sucker hole.
You know who wants to use that top line though? No surprise, it's a train of Fords. The pusher, once again, is Howerton. This time the lead car, Britton, and they're trying to block it. And it's causing trouble. More checkups in the heart of the pack. No caution, we stay green. Richard Hurst making contact in the midst of that checkup. Big side draft attempt from Waterburn. And Britton is already up to 7th with that top line being the first time the outsides really got in traction.
Waterburn tried several different times to break that outside line up, and coming off of turn 2, I don't think Britton had another piece of paper between him and the wall. He still keeps this run going. A big surge here. The 52 of Howerton giving a good push. They're up to 4th spot, working on the outside of the 15 car now. And Hunter sticking true, hasn't went up and side drafted him. I think they're going to surge to at least 2nd position before this run breaks up. Another push coming on the backstretch.
There's the checkup though. Now with it being 3 wide, not so gathered up. You see how big the difference is. Already some pull as a result of Rhodes being there in the middle. Waterman, by the way, got all the way back towards side-by-side for 4th on the bottom. But it's Britton now side-by-side for that said spot. There's Waterman trying to get the bottom to go.
3 different groups starting up here with less than 20 to go. Coming across the line for 13 laps left in this race. Got a little caution plague. We ran about 40 laps under green, and then chaos ensued. They've since settled down a little bit, but this lead pack, they can't decide who they want to work with, and it's almost tandem racing at this point. 2 or 3 car packs trying to split the run here, and no one has had anything for the 74 yet.
That's a huge break for the top 2 though. Hennings keeping an eye on the mirror. Here comes Britton. The best chance up front. 3 wide with some huge pinches the back. Up at the front. Britton is going for it. Britton, for the first time all day, makes a lead change on the track. Britton to the point.
History was made on lap 68. The 52 of Howerton takes him up front. Hennings staying in that middle, and 4 cars get by. They waited. They kept that in their back pocket for quite some time. I think Britton tried this 4 different times tonight with the 52, and they finally got it to work.
And then there are a couple other times if you include the 30 with Wagoner trying that top line with the help of a couple of the others. But now, this could be even more difficult in terms of what else the drivers can do here. This gets exactly to the same point we touched upon at the top, where at Daytona, the top's been better because of the ability not to get a side draft to the right side fenders. Now you can't get that side draft to the right side fenders, and nobody's getting a side draft from the middle line here.
Seeing the 56, he's actually scored a lap down here. That's Benjamin Richards. He'll be the lucky dog position if the yellow comes out. Hopefully not involved with it, though, because the 33 was pushing Hennings as he hit the back bumper. Richards, they're trying to go back up here and catch this pack, and Hennings getting a big surge on the middle. He actually pulled away from the 33. Car in the wall. Looks like the 21 and the first just touched it there. No, that was actually the 6 car of Phillips.
Yeah, where did Phillips come from in all of this, by the way? It's been a chaotic time for that Kansas City Chiefs paint scheme, where everything has seemed to go wrong for that car, including a couple penalties tonight from that pit road entry and exit for the first caution. He's now in the conversation, coming to 10 laps to go.
And outside, starting to lose a little bit of that smoke, but I know Hennings trying to push the 56 back up here to the front, trying to take his ticket back to the lead. Looks like the 56 cars went stagnant since he got to that bumper. They've stayed right around the 4th, 5th position.
Calm before the storm. If the storm hasn't already had a couple different periods of calm before very strong periods of craziness. But right now, Hennings is trying to figure out some way to get the car in front of him to build up a lot of momentum, and they just do not want to even try a side draft. They're leaving a lot of space to that top.
Well, I know the worry there is that those cars will hit the outside wall. They're hugging it as they come into the entrance. This car notoriously bad for getting aero tight on the entrance of these corners. Look how much wheel they have to put into it, and then they give it back. You'll see progressively after the midway of that corner, they'll start to give this wheel back, and yeah, it's trying to hold it down there and not bounce the car off the wall. There's an art to it, but unfortunately, it leads to no side draft, and you see how it's affected the middle line now.
Already coming to 8 laps to go. Richards starting to help move that line bit by bit, while Britton leads that front line. He started this race in 35th position. It's been a long way for this car. That's the second to last qualifying spot. He's already had to use at least the faster pair. He was nearly in the parking lot earlier in terms of the big one earlier, and now he's up in front trying to become the Pied Piper with the help of Howerton. It's Ford Chevy amongst the top 3, coming to 7.5 laps to go.
I've seen that 6 car tag the wall 2 different times at 2 different sides of this racetrack. And if he flirts with it much more, he's going to cause an accident, a lot of accordion effect, and he's all over the back bumper of Howerton. He might want to back it up a little bit here, so in case the 52 gets into the wall, because these guys pushing this hard, it's only going to get worse with 5 to go. He might want to back up as you see him back to the bumper again.
There's that backup you were talking about indeed. William Britton trying to keep it at about 196 miles an hour at the head of the field. Now down to 7 laps to go. Around that mid-pack now, Hennings. He's risking everything, trying to get that 56 car to move even further up. This is right about where these runs have stalled out, though. There's a big check on the top that might help a touch bit for now. A couple, though, having to get off that middle line and the result of the checkup.
See a little turbulence there from Hurst. He's got a gap behind him to the 14 car. The inside, well, middle line starts to surge, but look at Greg Spiker down there by himself. He's picking up a couple positions, might have some takers to help him out. 22 of Gunter thought about it. Now the 707 of David Collins. Oh man, they just drafted and left him out.
No help that time once again. And in turn, down to the final 6 laps here. And at this point, you have to wonder, how long does Richards stay up there? I understand the point, obviously, with the 74 making the pushes there. But at the same time, again, that's a lap car, and they aren't making progress. In fact, they just had to check up because the run came at the wrong time. They're actually asking on the radio here, does this 56 car have damage as the lead car?
Not entirely sure. I think most of it's just because Hennings and him aren't working well together. They probably didn't practice it too much here. And so the 56 getting the bumps at the weird times, getting them loose, it's caused some checkups. If I'm Hennings right now, I'm thinking, okay, well, we're going to try this maybe one more lap, and then I got to go, buddy. I got to get to the bottom or do something. Maybe you got to drop to the inside and let us go because they're losing more ground, and it's going to take more than probably 3 laps to catch back up.
Under 5 laps to go as they go down the Alabama game super stretch. Right now, Britain is in control. Howerton staying with them for now. How long does that last? How long does the Area 51 driver stay behind the 64 as he continues to plot 2 of the drivers in the qualifying series in control, and now they're crashing. A crash at the back, caution flag is out, and now it will come down to a couple laps to decide it. Waterburn going around with the caution. Well, that was with contact with Shane Gunter there, Bradley. And just like that, all that conversation goes out the window because now you have a restart.
I don't know if somebody helped the one car, if it was Gunter, if it was the 65 of Spiker. Almost some more problems, though, because the one in Waterman didn't lock it down. He started rolling back into traffic. Back it up again here.
Race Control just mentioned the 7 of Logan Rhodes involved in getting an EOL. This is why. Yep, that's going to get it.
Yeah. He tagged the wall several times there.
That's exactly what you're talking about. Aero push and aero tight.
Yep. And unfortunately, Gunter ends up being a victim, and then Waterman gets turned. And that all starts with the 7 car just getting a little tight on the exit of the corner. Waterman going to stay on the lead lap here, but I think that's the 3rd time tonight that we've seen the 1 car involved in something. He's out of fast repairs, so he's just going to have to come back down pit road and get it fixed and get the best he can out of it.
And a few drivers trying to sort out where everyone's supposed to be, hence why you see the queuing up at the back of the track right now. But now, that throws out the conversation about different lines out the window. It's worth noting that I believe Britain is talking with Howerton on what to do here because they've been working so well together. How does this plan go if you were in that conversation?
Well, I'm going to speak directly to Howerton and say, you got me up here, stay with me, and if you go at the end, I understand, but at this point right now, they've still got the green-white checker, I think will be the term we're going to use here for this restart. They have to maintain the lead in order for either one of them to have a shot. So I think they'll be on the same page at least for the next 2 laps, but when that white flag comes out, you can't blame Howerton or even Phillips for trying something as they come out of turn 4. As far as conversations go, I'm wondering what Hennings is doing right now, who he's conversing with, because for the last, say what, 4 restarts, Hennings been counting them down to try to get somebody to work with him, and it hasn't worked out here in the closing laps.
Closest, I believe, a part of his alliance tonight is David Collins, who's back in 10th in the Collinator car. And even then, that's not in the exact same line to line up. So there is some context in what happened with the 1 car, by the way, we've seen with the all over the racetrack part after the spin. Apparently, this is the reasoning given just now to Race Control. His force feedback was so strong that it unplugged his pedals from the computer/wheel, and he had to physically replug them back in because he lost all his brakes and gas since they weren't plugged in.
Well, that would make sense then. I wouldn't think that Watern would do that. I know he's an experienced driver, so race control questioning that makes sense as well because he almost totaled another car coming back out there. But yeah, the wheel doing that, jostling around, and for those of you that have no idea what that is, the force feedback here is the kind of the realism aspect of the simulator where it inputs, unfortunately, wall hits as well as it does bumps. And if you hit that wall hard enough, a lot of these guys on direct drive setups, it's a lot of torque, and it can move entire play seats and chairs if it's strong enough.
That being said, Green-white-checkered is confirmed. We have 2 attempts available. If we get to the white flag, it's a race to the finish. If we get a caution before the white flag, there's 1 more attempt available. If we get a caution before the white flag on the second attempt, the race ends under yellow. It's worth noting the whole top 3 appears to have now made a quasi-alliance up here with how well things have worked together. Remember, this could be wild over the course of these next 5+ miles here. What are we about to see here is my thought, Bradley. What do you think?
Hopefully organized until the last lap when they take the white flag. I would love to see this race finish under green, and I would love to see 7 or 8 opportunities for different drivers to get a win here. I would especially like to see the guy that's led the most laps here tonight get back up and have a chance. But I'd also like to see another run on the outside. I don't know who's going to bring that to our attention. If the 64 goes up high and runs with the 52, I would, based off of how they did it earlier. Seems like if you have a car on your outside, the line that you're in just doesn't matter at that point, and you can't get a run. So we'll see. Defensively, I don't see anyone blocking until the last lap, and then remember, here at Talladega, that start-finish line is an extra 1,200 to 1,400 feet, I think, past where Daytona is. So you got to keep that in mind. I've seen guys lift here into the tri-oval thinking the race is about to be over with, and they've still got more racing left to do.
Just about set to go for the first of 2 green-white-checkered attempts available. William Britton has led the past 11 straight laps. He looks to close it out. Others, like Brian Hennings, look to find a way to get up from the end of the top 10 back to the front. Green flag is out. Howard's in a very poor launch. The top line completely jumbled. The bottom line already with several surging ahead. Restart is under review.
Yeah, I think he changed before the start-finish line as well. So
Yep.
that could give a penalty to the 64 car. Contact back here deep in the pack. That's the 15, a Hunter on the bottom.
And the 6 you can throw into the mix possibly there too with the lane change. This could get crazy. It's 3 and 4 wide of the back of the pack. They're making contact. Benjamin Richards, Aronson making lots of contact there. Again, coming to the white flag this time by. If we take the white, it's a race simply to the checkered. Right now, it's Britton up front. Richard Hurst tries to line it up with Hennings as the white flag waves. And look who's coming back. It's Bill Daniels from the grass earlier to the front again. A big run for McDonald.
Up here at the front, we got the 6 of Phillips trying to keep him up there. Hennings getting another surge in the middle. And the 28 car of Bill Daniels giving him a shove. There's Hurst. Last week's winner has an opportunity. I think he's in the perfect position if he can jump down in front and get a push from Hennings at the right time.
At least 5-10 cars crashed in turn 2. The run for the finish coming out of turn 4. Here comes Richard Hurst. He looks to go back to back. Can he get a push in time? Britton getting a huge shot from Phillips. Here comes Wagoner. He tries to give a small little bump. Hurst trying to get the run. Checker flag. Britton takes the checkered. But will he get to keep it with the lane change earlier?
Well, right now we've got an official graphic that William Britton has won this race, pending the review of the restart. But if that's the case, and he doesn't get the win, Richard Hurst will go back to back.
Once again, remember, the restart was immediately placed under review. For Britain, if it sticks, it'd be his first from second last to first. Hurst would be back-to-back, as said. Again, this is the reason this quickly drew a review. You have to make sure you don't change lanes before the start and finish line, and watch the 64 and the 6.
We saw a lane change before the line. I'm pretty certain of that. The 64 came up in front of the 52. They had such a jump, it was kind of hard to tell.
Right there.
That's
right here.
That's officially a lane. Yeah, that's a lane change before the line.
No official calls have been made yet, by the way, and all this, you mentioned from here, this is not going to work. It somehow still worked, even with the huge run from Hurst.
And how did Hennings end up not paired with the 21? I know that the 52 jumps down here, but he's by himself, and no one goes with him for quite a ways. You'd think that they would have Hennings and, okay, that makes sense now. I think Hennings drops down with somebody here at some point. I think it's the 28 car after this lap.
Keep in mind, Howerton and several more did crash coming towards the checkered. They were battling in 1 and 2, in 3 and 4 wide. That's also currently being reviewed. And you see that right there. That was where some of the trouble really sparked to the back. 4 wide, bye-bye.
And Howerton on that restart was up in the top 3, so he kind of got sucked back deep in the field really quickly, all within a lap.
There's a lot of questions, I think, for some of the drivers coming up here in terms of sorting things out here, but this run to the checkered, we've seen the top be dominant all day, and I think there's a big difference. Watch the 30. Doesn't get fully flush. If anything, it looks like it lifted, or at least hit a bubble.
Yeah, right there at the line, you saw the Hurst just edges out the 6 car, but had that bubble not been there, I think whatever that was there, maybe the spoiler or the arrow, maybe that's why the inside line struggled so much here today. Maybe it wasn't so much a bubble as it was the side force from the outside line when they got collected up there. Unofficially, pending review, we're going to take a quick break here live on V-Speed to try to make sure we get this correct. Not announce, I know I put the graphic on the screen, but I'd like to not say anything more until we know officially what's come here of this restart review, and we'll get a word from our sponsors while we do that. You're watching the Vrx World Cup live on V-Speed. We'll be back right after this.
I played a couple of simulators, and this was like very responsive, especially the hydraulics and stuff. The motion and stuff was really, really on point.
Make you feel like you're really driving. It feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really, really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
And here comes Milo. Big run out of 4. He's going to be there.
Tristan Martin's there. Cannot count out to 37.
Oh!
No, gets burned!
Cabot, where did he come from? Here comes Zwack.
A push from the 33.
It's a drag race.
The Magic Man wins it Auto Club.
I played a couple of simulators and this was like very responsive, especially the hydraulics and stuff, the motion and stuff was really, really on point.
Make you feel like you're really driving. It feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really, really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
Back here live at Talladega Super Speedway, Vrx World Cup has concluded its 80-lap race here, and we went into a little bit of overtime, but we can officially announce your winner here tonight is William Britton in the number 64. Pending review of the restart, I see why the admins went back and watched it, but deciding that it didn't really interfere with any of that, and I think it's a good no call there. Tandem racing, though, at the end. It didn't work out for some guys and others it did. The dominant car of the day, Brian Hennings, he finds himself finishing outside the top 5.
And indeed, let's take a look at those race results. Can tell you the top 15 is official. Further back is still being reviewed. William Britton, Richard Hurst, Chris Phillips confirmed to be on the podium. Wagoner, followed by Milkowitz, along with Greg Spiker. Dustin Buck, Hennings, Hodges, Aronson amongst your top 10. Keep in mind, Britton went from 35th to 1st to get the win tonight.
And the butt kicker biggest mover award there goes to the number 64. Bill Daniels is going to finish 11th. He got behind the 74. Hennings tried to push there in the middle. It just didn't work out. Paul McDonald, also another one of those cars that was up front a lot of the day, finishes 12th. Ricky Evans in the 14 and 13th tonight. Logan Water had a troublesome day, but able to get a top 15. He'll finish in 4th. Casey Ellis in the Ghost 35. He's going to finish 15th. Luke Rakowski in the 033 16th tonight. David Collins 17th. Teresa Spiker in 18th position. Todd Mace and Greg Pillar will round out your top 20.
21st spot with the way of Jeffrey Hunter after starting the top 3. Logan Rhodes after his EOL finished 22nd. Gunter and Howerton amongst the final drivers in the lead lap. Richards, along with Filer, Sox, Mangione, Scott, and PJ Cox. They finished all the way back in the third, as far back as 30th.
Rounding out the rest of your field here tonight, it's going to be John Hudson in the number 3, Mike Chivers in the 5 car, Jared Epker taking an early vacation from this race. He's going to be scored 22 laps down. Wade Palmer with that flip there in 1 and 2. He's going to finish 34th. Steven Aguirre had a tough day as well. It actually started out tough for him, so I hope he feels better here soon. Not feeling the greatest. Temperature of 102. Speaking of 102, the track temp here tonight was close to that. And then Kevin Mulcahy will round out your field. He started just outside the pole here tonight.
So touch upon the running order, a part of a race with 6 cautions and 8 different lead changes this evening. In grand total, we've seen a race with 7 different leaders. And as you already mentioned, the butt kicker biggest mover award going to the most positions gained, that going to William Britton. No surprise, 34 spots gained and the win. Not bad for a solid day in the office.
Yeah, he kind of did the exact opposite. We had another driver that was in that position. Mulcahy lost 34 spots. So that shows you here at Talladega how fast things can turn around. It doesn't necessarily matter where you begin. It's where you finish here and sticking it out, surviving to the end. 64 car did that well. We've got some of your top, well, we're going to go with the 4th place finisher here tonight. We weren't able to find Chris Phillips here on pit road. Maybe celebrating in the hauler already and took it to the RV already, but we got James Wagner, your 4th place finisher here tonight in the number 30. And James, you're able to eke by. I know that we do the top 3 usually, but here tonight, 4th place, you're going to be our top 3 in the interviews. You tried to get that outside line working several times tonight, and there at the end just didn't have anybody that wanted to go with you.
Yeah, I was just testing the waters early and just seeing how it felt, and I'd laid back most of the night. I was going to just try to get a run at the end of the race, just try to save my car. It's pretty much what I was doing all night.
Well, that's really the secret to Talladega. That's what we mentioned at the beginning of this race, surviving all of the laps and being there at the end of this race. How important was it to you that you found a partner, though? Because I know that when you were testing those waters, nobody else was really willing to go with you until later on in the race. We saw Britton and Hurst and those guys go, and then you finally had some takers.
Oh, yeah, it felt good when, had a little bit of help. But, it's at Talladega, you always want somebody to go with you, or you're going to get sucked all the way up to the back. But it's racing.
Well, here tonight, we saw kind of a weird race. The middle line was very dominant. Then the outside came into play, but it seemed like nobody could really get a run offensively. Was it difficult to get that car up to speed if you were, say, 3rd, 4th position jumping down?
Oh, yeah, it was pretty difficult. I mean, the bottom lane I thought was really slow. So that's why I tried to stay up at the top all night, but just glad I had a little bit of help there at the end.
Well, we appreciate your time, James. And while we got you up here, is there anyone that you would like to shout out here for the 4th place? You got a top 5 tonight.
Yeah, I'd like to thank y'all guys for the great broadcast. Vrx for allowing me to race this race with them. All their sponsors. James Wagner's Welding. All my Roughneck teammates. And that's about it.
Well, we appreciate your time, man, and we look forward to seeing you next week here in the Vrx World Cup at Iowa for 150 laps. We'll see you then.
Yep, appreciate you.
That's your 4th place finisher of the night, and we'll move on. And I believe Justin Prince has caught up with your 2nd place finisher, and that would... Let's take that back one. Hitting the wrong buttons there from muscle memory, but we got your 2nd place finisher here tonight. That's Richard Hurst in the number 21 car. And Justin Prince is down there with him now.
Yes, indeed. And Richard just 1 spot short, 0.045 seconds back at the stripe. First things first, your thoughts on how the night played out, Richard?
This is embarrassing, but are you in another room right now, Richard? I just want to make sure you're there.
I'm here. I'm here.
10-4. We got a chair stream on there.
I'm sorry, but I am here. I'm on my phone.
Well, how would you describe tonight? Because it, at the least, seemed to have a lot in terms of the big one, in terms of cars upside down, in terms of yourself in the mix of those cars in the around the upside down part. How would you describe the craziness of sorting out the night as it progressed this evening?
Well, I mean, the craziness, we knew it was going to happen. I mean, it's super speedway racing. People do get, kind of aggressive when it comes down to the final laps. And, but that first caution, I thought we were pretty much toast. The car was pretty much done. The pit road opened up as soon as we got to it. So we were able to go in and take our fast repair. We were running second. The Noma TV ASDR Chevrolet, it ran perfect. I wasn't expecting that close of a finish. I thought he actually had me at the start finish line, but just by a bumper. That was an amazing finish. Hats off to those guys for putting on a great race.
In turn, though, it was an intriguing one in that nobody seemed to be able to get the bottom of the racetrack working. In your opinion, why was that?
At Talladega, the highlines are always have the momentum off the corners, and we saw that. You can hold the bottom line just a little bit, but without enough cars down there, everybody won that top line trying to get that run off the corners, which it does work. We tried it coming out of turn number 4 right there on the last lap, but we just fell short. But amazing, how high we ran up on the track, right next to the wall. I think the right side of my car was missing a lot of paint because I touched the wall quite a few times. But luckily, everybody had that awareness and looked out for that kind of stuff.
So in turn, a great start to the season. First and second already to start off the campaign. In turn, what's going to be on the mind to be able to try and keep this momentum up already off to a near perfect start when you think about it for an 8-race season?
Well, for me, I'm in the broadcast booth 90% of the time, and I'm really not on the track a lot. And it's an amazing feeling to see, me being able to do so well, because there's a lot of competitors that are very, 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 very good. And to see me up in the top, it's just an amazing feeling. Iowa might be a different ball game. I like Iowa. I've raced it quite a bit and done pretty well, but the competition here is so strong that I don't know if I'll be able to keep that good streak going on coming in this third race.
Anyone you want to give a shout out to here tonight?
Absolutely. Got to give a shout out to Mr. Ricky Evans over there at ASDR. He helped me out a lot tonight. Greg Spiker, Teresa Spiker, we had a pretty good alliance going on. Mr. James Wagner over there at Roughneck Racing. And, got a couple of sponsors on the car. Got Thrustmaster, got Butt Kicker. I think we even have a Honda sponsor, and Craig Dean Designs. And got to give a shout out to Noma TV for being on the car also.
Well, congratulations once again on the top 3 this evening, Richard.
Thank you. Y'all did a great job also.
Richard Hurst coming away with the top 3 run tonight. Bradley, back to you.
So finally, that brings us to victory lane, and we were kind of on the fence there with the review of the restart, but ultimately they reviewed it, they looked back on it, and they said William Britton has the win here tonight at Talladega. William, I tell you what, man, you tried this at Auto Club. You were up at the front several different times, and then here tonight, it finally all played out for you.
Man, I definitely got to give a big shout out to Mike. Me and him just wound up working great tonight. Well, great tonight together, and he chose to run that outside lane, and we just didn't hook up the way we wanted to. We wound up reversed. Me leading and him pushing, but it just worked out so fantastic. Want to give a big shout out to him. We didn't join race comms together until probably that last caution, and sadly he wound up missing a gear on that restart, and I wish I also got to thank Chris as well for pushing me that last 100 feet to the checkered flag. But yeah, it's a great feeling tonight for sure. After last week, just having such a strong car last week, and netcode just playing factor and kind of getting us right there and causing the last caution for the night.
Well, we saw that the middle line for most of this race, we had Hennings and Kevin Mulcahy in that middle line. Nobody really challenged them until you and the 52 of Howerton came up on the outside. And it looked like everybody knew that was happening. How many times did you get blocked on that outside trying to make that run?
Actually, surprisingly, I don't think anyone really actually tried to block. I think that they saw we had such a head of steam that there was no point in blocking. I know the one car coming off of turn 2, I think he thought about blocking, but also his car might have shoved a little bit. But there was still enough room for us to keep going without causing too much of an incident, I felt like, and it played out just right.
So after that big pass, we get a caution, re-racks this field. You said you started to communicate with your surroundings to try to figure out where you were going to go. And so Howerton missing a gear. Were you glad that somebody stuck with you? Because I know in my personal experience, you never want to be in the lead on the last lap at these places.
No, I don't want to be the leader on the last lap because, I've seen too many real life Daytona and Talladega races get lost in the last 50, 100 feet because of the guy leading, the guy behind pulls out, so gets that nice little side draft and just pulls away, just gets that fender. And like I said, again, Chris stuck with me coming through the trial and gave me that last couple of good shoves to the start finish line, which I think me and Richard just barely I think I beat Richard just by like a fender, maybe the thickness of the paint. And again, thanks to Chris Phillips for that push.
Yeah, as we saw it right there at the finish line across the screen, William Britton getting the victory. A second time, well, actually our second winner of the season, first time win for him this year. And William, we know that you had success in the qualifiers, so I look forward to seeing what you can do at Iowa. Do you have anyone you'd like to shout out?
Definitely shout out Green Room Dispensaries, unofficial sponsor, trying to get them on board. And definitely want to thank Mike and Chris again for sticking with me there at the end. Of course, my wife, who's at work right now, registered nurse, supporting me in this because she knows it does take up a lot of time. But yeah, as well as my kids who are 13 and 6, Lucian and Declan. So I love you boys. Y'all have a good night if y'all are watching.
Well, we appreciate your time, William. Congratulations on the win. And we'll see you next week. 150 laps in
yes, sir.
The Midwest.
Peace, love, and bacon. Have a good night. And again, thank you to V Speed for broadcasting tonight.
Well, thank you for that. And that's William Britton, your winner here tonight at Talladega Super Speedway. We've concluded our 80 laps. Final thoughts, anything, Justin? We saw it all here tonight.
Yeah, we've seen a wild race to say the least, I think, Bradley, because a lot of potential craziness in terms of the middle of the pack. It was really intriguing, though, to see how difficult it was even to get the race lead, but it kind of just dictates that it's not just as simple as hit the throttle and go to the front. There's actually a fair bit amount of skill to this because you have to make the right moves. And if you make the wrong moves, you end up going upside down like we've seen a couple drivers do tonight.
Yeah, I think tonight was one of those instances where Talladega showed all of its characteristics, and ultimately the Green-white-checkered Super Speedway never complete without one. Hope you guys can tune in next week when we go live in racing. As we said before, we're going to Iowa, February 16th at 9 p.m. Eastern Time for 150 laps as the Vrx World Cup goes week number 3. In tonight's broadcast here, presented by Thrustmaster, Butt Kicker, and Carpe Diem. For everyone at VRX, we thank you for having us on board here at V-Speed. If you guys did enjoy tonight's broadcast, make sure you hit the subscribe button so you never miss a single race. And we'll have you flag-to-flag coverage all season long here on V-Speed. But for everyone that put this on in the background, Adam Baker behind the scenes, our other producers, Eddie Smith and Morgan Cook. And a huge thanks to my co-commentator of the night, Justin Prince. This is Bradley Cooper telling you to have a great weekend, everyone, and we'll see you next time.
And here comes Milo. Big run out of 4. He's going to be there.
Tristan Martin's there. Cannot count out to 37.
Oh!
The ball gets burned!
Cabot, where did he come from? Here comes Zwack.
A punch from the 33.
It's a drag race.
The Magic Man wins it Auto Club.
I played a couple of simulators and this was like very responsive, especially the hydraulics and stuff, the motion and stuff was really, really on point.
Make you feel like you're really driving. It feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really, really cool.
It was pretty awesome.